Good morning.
You're live, Commissioner.
Okay, good morning. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners work session for Thursday, August 26, 2021, 9:01 a.m. My name is Ty Mentor, Chair of the Board. To my left is the Vice Chair, Commissioner Gary Edwards, and Commissioner Carolina Mejia is excused this morning. Ramiro Chavez, our County Manager. C. Maria Fonte, Director of Human Resources. We've got a 1-hour session this morning on the topic of 2021-22 General Liability, Property, and Cyber Insurance Policy Renewal information. The public can follow along through our YouTube channel. This meeting is live streamed, and I will let County Manager just take us forward.
I think at this point I will give the floor to Tammy. If you can introduce your guest, that would be great.
Wonderful. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking the time with us. I have Derek Bryan, Executive Director of the Risk Pool, to join us. We also have Carol Renberg, and we might be having Brian Anderson, our other risk analyst here at the county. So with that, this morning we're going to be covering some risk reduction training that both Thurston County as well as the Risk Pool has provided. We're going to be going through the insurance premium renewals. As a recap, we're part of the members of the Washington County's Risk Pool, and they provide property insurance, liability insurance. They're proposing a crime policy and also a cyber policy. And so each year, the board of directors at the Risk Pool reviews markets in the spring and then provides rates to all its members. And so they did that at the end of July. And so this briefing is to review and basically any changes to our insuring policies and or what the premiums we're going to be paying. Those bills come due this September for a renewal October 1st. So that's just a brief overview. I think I need to share my screen so you can see the briefing. Let's try that. Can you see the briefing?
Yeah, you got it.
Is working?
Yeah, if you can put it
Okay.
in slide mode, that would be great.
Okay. Oops. All right. Slideshow. Come on. There we go. I think we got it. You seeing that? Okay.
Yep.
So those are the briefing highlights. This is the training that Thurston County has provided. You know, we believe that the single most important things that an agency can do is train its staff, and that helps create and maintain our operationals, our service delivery to the citizens, and reduce our risk and exposure. And this is the training from October 1st, 2020 through August 17th, which I think is pretty impressive given the fact that a lot of us were closed down. Above is online training that we provided up to 550 people for cybersecurity, harassment prevention, safe driving, the active shooter, and then down below is the training we provided instructor-led through the Zoom platform. So I think this is pretty darn impressive given the constraints that we had this last year. Now the Risk Pool also, their mission is to, reduce risk, exposure, reduce the cost of the claims when they do come in, comprehensive and economical risk coverage. And I got to tell you, they just, pulled everything out to provide training to all its members. And you can see the list. This is just page 1 of the list of the trainings that were offered and webinars offered to all the members. This is extremely impressive. And so we really got to hand it to them to provide all that for our counties, given this current time in our COVID. Here's here's the scholarships that have been provided. Then they've got upcoming webinars at the bottom here, additional scholarship opportunities. And it's just been a pleasure to work with the Risk Pool and have them provide all this training pretty much free of charge to all our members. If you have questions or whatever, please stop me as we go through, because I'm going to be focusing on the slides. Now, this is the training that we've taken, and I think it really goes to show. Look at Thurston County down there, 501. So, we advertised, it comes out through the Risk Management Committee, and we send it out to all our members, to different offices. Hey, if this is available, if you want to send some staff. And I really think it shows that Thurston County went above and beyond trying to attend as much training, et cetera, as we possibly could. This next year, the Risk Management Committee of the Risk Pool looks at frequency and severity cases, and they try to gear the training and the webinars to try to beef up to see what's coming at us, and they look at what are the severity of the cases, the cost, the higher cost cases, and what are the more frequent cases coming to us to see if we can do anything to prevent those. And so this year for 2021-22, they're going to be looking at law enforcement, civil rights, the leadership roles in the law enforcement for severity, frequency, road maintenance, and vehicle ops. And then the proactive training and programs are going to be court security and then response to law enforcement legislative changes. So you're going to see a lot more training coming our way, but the focus is going to be on these three areas. Now, last year, the Risk Pool offered a $5,000 scholarship to all members, and the qualifications is it had to be a risk reduction or a safety reduction program. And Thurston County did take advantage of that. We ended up, let me get my notes here. We ended up putting in backup cameras in several of our vehicles. We had truck bed covers to reduce theft. And then we ended up installing some radios in several of the areas out at the WARC. And as you can see the chart here on the left, prior to the scholarship funds being available with the Risk Pool, we saw that this was a big issue of backing. And so we installed cameras on many of our larger trucks, the paint truck, the pilot vehicles, to reduce claims. And we also significantly stress backing in our defensive driving training. And you can see on the chart on the left that this significantly improved. And then with all the training and whatnot, I think COVID had a little bit to do with this on the chart on the right, but we're closing our claims faster with the help of the Risk Pool staff, and the severity of our claims are going down considerably. And with that, I wanted to introduce Derek Bryan, the Executive Director of the Risk Pool, because he had a little fun thing to provide you all.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here. I do plan to come back out and get on your calendar to do a full annual report from the Risk Pool, but I appreciate Tammy was good enough to ask if I would sit in on this and just provide you guys with a little bit of commentary as she gets into the rates and stuff. But yes, on the risk reduction program, we established this program a handful of years ago, and it's just an opportunity for counties to find additional ways to reduce risk. And we have a funded program that counties can submit an application, get the funding for those items, projects, purchases that would drive down liability claims. And Thurston County has just done a great job pursuing this. And in fact, Carol had presented even at our last conference, and I know Commissioner Edwards was there as well, presented kind of an overview, just like here, what Tammy's showing you. But we want to recognize, we're really trying to recognize members more and more. And a lot of times we'll recognize members and provide awards, but we like to do something fun once in a while too. And so our staff here had a great idea to start doing a kind of achievement recognition award for those that have really excelled in the risk reduction program specifically. And Thurston County was kind of shined when it came to that with the backup cameras in vehicles, then of course showing the reduction in their backing claims as a result. So we just were really pleased and wanted to encourage other members. Carol was good enough to speak at our conference about it and about the work that they've done, and then talk also about other ideas that she's got and that the county has for, and that you've used actually for locking up vehicles, lock boxes on vehicles. And she even was talking about the catalytic converters in vehicles that are being stolen. Carol, just to add, our claims, actually our risk management staff just the other day went out to one of our Priuses and found a bottle jack underneath it. So we're actually here at the pool dealing with this directly ourselves. So really good on you guys for all the work that you guys have done. And with the backing, we wanted to start annually recognizing members that show achievements in the risk reduction program, applying for it, using it, and then showing the results and how well the results are. And so you can see that, that you guys really reduced your backing claims. So at the conference, we actually presented, and again, Commissioner Edwards, Carol, Brian, Tammy were there, but I wanted to take this opportunity to show you as well what we had given, and we'll be delivering. It's much more fun in person to do this. I know we all just have to be patient, but we'll be delivering this over to you guys. This is a plaque, and it has a rear view mirror on it, as you can see, and it has our logo on it, but it says to Thurston County, in recognition of your efforts in risk reduction, thank you for helping the WCRP move forward by looking backwards, presented July 2021. So just a fun plaque for you guys to have in your risk management department, maybe hang on the wall, just something fun. We want to start doing that kind of a fun award for recognizing members. So thanks, Tammy, for this chance. I know I'll chime in later when it comes to rates and stuff, but really, we made a lot of changes over the last few years at this pool. We felt like we were heading toward a cliff as the industry changed, as insurance changed, as the views of government and law enforcement changed. And we really needed to do some serious risk reduction, loss reduction, claims handling reduction. And we felt like we were heading toward a cliff, and there's only one way to find out if you were right? And that's to not do it and then have the results. So we felt like we needed to do something, and our county members, and especially Thurston County, really embraced that. Tammy and her team have just done awesome working with us, driving down claims, working on claims, closing files. It's just been awesome. So really appreciate Tammy, Carol, Brian, and the team's work.
Thanks, Derek. Very much appreciated.
Hey, Tammy, before you leave that slide, what does the line mean versus the bars? Because the one on the right doesn't really track the bars that closely. What does it mean?
Oh, we've got on the far right is the number of claims. So you got 0 up to 90, and the bar is the costs on both of those.
It's the frequency and severity. The pool uses this similar graphs for. The line is, I believe, the number of claims, the frequency. Is that right, Tammy?
Yes.
Yeah, so the line is the frequency, how many claims there were, and you use the axis on the right-hand side to see that, and then the actual bars or the actual dollar amounts.
Perfect.
Right.
Thank you. What is a bottle jack?
It is. You'll see them in truckers. It's like a jack for jacking up a car, but it's kind of a tall and skinny, and it's got a cylinder on the inside. So when you jack it up, the cylinder comes up and raises the vehicle.
So somebody was going to steal something from it.
Yeah, they were going to steal a catalytic converter.
That's right. Somebody climbed under the car, put the jack under, probably got spooked and took off and left the jack. So when our guys got in the car and started driving, it actually fell off the car drove off the jack. And so we actually just bought and put up some surveillance, 24-hour surveillance. We have cameras here, but we have no idea when they did it, and it's really hard to tell. And you wouldn't even really probably be able to tell who it was. But yeah, we were surprised to see that. So it just shows that there's it probably happening all over the place.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've had damage to vehicles behind building 4, and then I believe it was 2 catalytic converters stolen on vehicles that were parked out at public health. And so they're looking at ways that we can reinforce them, more security, et cetera, because I think we're going to just start seeing more and more of that grab and go type stuff. So this slide is, on the left side is our expiring insurance policies, some of them. It's our general liability and our property. And on the right is the renewing. And Derek can chime in if you need to. The general liability, we have, Thurston County has a $250,000 deductible, and then the risk pool has a $2 million retention, and then it goes policy levels all the way up to $20 million. And so our base premium is that $1.2 million expiring, and then the renewal is $1.4 million. This year, the risk pool did an incredible marketing effort. They approached 11 markets. 3 of the markets that we had in the past ceased even covering public entities anymore. So they sought out and tried to get 3 more quotes for the members. It's just been a very difficult market. Actually, this 18% increase isn't considered very bad. There's been a lot of organizations that are seeing 30 and 40 and 50% increases in their premiums. So with that, the risk pool decided to do a 5% base rate increase for stability in the pool. And so as a result, our portion of that premium is that $1,492,000. And then I just separated the terrorism. Terrorism is a standalone. It's actually charged based on the property as well as the liability program, and that basically is unchanged. The pool does offer additional $5 million above that $20 million layer, and the expiring policy was $28,000. The new policy, and I don't think this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Derek, if this is confirmed, but we're estimating that it's going to be about $67,000. And that was apparently, we had a couple of very large losses in the last year or so. So it hit that higher layer. So the insurers were like, we're going to have to increase that rate for us. So that $67,000 is assuming the members, all the members that are currently buying it are going to continue to buy it. And for the $5 million layer for $67,000, I think it's worth the money to actually have that extra cushion.
Yeah, Tim.
Go ahead.
You mind if I jump in, Tammy, on the liability? You're exactly right on the increase. We had a couple of claims out of us, one of our county members, and they were road claims. They were auto accident claims, and they were involved what's called joint and several liability. And it's something that we take serious issue with and are actually going to continue to see if we can push the legislature to make some changes to this law. Joint and several liability essentially means that if there's multiple tortfeasors or negligent parties in a claim, in an incident, that the fault-free party who has no fault, victim, so to speak, shall not be left uncompensated just because one bad actor or one negligent party can't afford to pay their full share. It's kind of hard to explain, but if you have an auto accident with an injured passenger that's fault-free and the driver of that vehicle is 90 or 95 or 99% at fault, but say another party, the county, is 1%, 5%, 10% at fault, if the driver who's responsible, who's the majority responsible, has a minimum policy or no insurance or for whatever reason can't afford to pay a multi-million-dollar verdict if that passenger is seriously injured or killed, all tortfeasors, all negligent parties have to collaboratively pay for, they're jointly and severally liable for the entirety of the injured party's damages. So if you have a $10 million claim and the county is 1% responsible, but the person with more responsibility can't pay, the county has to pay the whole verdict or settlement. We had to settle these cases, and it was almost that same scenario. We paid $16.5 million to settle these claims with 2 deceased children in a car. Devastating accident, devastating claim. We had to settle the case because we knew that we were going to be, if we weren't any part responsible, then we would have paid the entire verdict. And so we settled the case. The insurers were involved. We paid some very large settlement for those. The result of that then is directly impacting our reinsurance and excess insurance costs. And so we saw even some of our upper insuring layers. We have multiple insurance layers because with diversification, we don't just buy all our insurance from one insurer. We diversify with various insurers. One of those we saw 100% increase, so they doubled the price. One of them we saw a 50% increase. we saw significant increases because when your claims run shows a $16.5 million claim, and then another one that's a $9 million claim, we are going to pay the price for that. And so collectively as a group, and this could have happened to any county, we did not believe the county was responsible, but trying that case and having potentially a 20, 30, $40 million verdict and having to pay that it made sense to us to settle. But the direct impact of that is huge increases in our reinsurance and excess. Because of the work we did as a group on handling claims in all other respects and risk management and driving down costs, we actually saw about a 30% increase in our reinsurance premiums above our layers, but we actually saw about a 10% decrease in our layers below, in our own layers, because of the success we've had in the lower layers. So we actually were able to offset what would have been a huge increase across the board. And so that resulted in only a 5% overall increase for the organization in cost for liability. That's a great outcome because of the work we did to offset those huge increases. 5% is the base rate that every county then starts with and pays. That's the across the board base rate. The reason you got to 18% is because you saw a slight increase in your worker hours. It's all based then on your criteria. You saw a little increase in your worker hours. You saw about a 5% increase in your experience rating. I've got your experience rating here in front of me. You guys actually are at a 0.86 experience rating. That's a loss experience. 1.0 is a break even. Anything above 1 is sort of negative experience. Anything below 1 is positive. So you may have gone up a little bit by 5%, but you're still well below the 1.0. So still very successful as far as experience. But you did see a little bit of a bump in that. The other thing you saw a bump in, and it's a bit intuitive, but you saw a 7% increase in your deductible. You get a reduction in your costs by taking a deductible. Your deductible, though, is driven by the losses that you're going to have within your deductible. And so you're almost a victim of your own success. And it's just kind of the way that pooling works and the way that our program works. But if you're having success, then the actuaries are going to determine that you're not expected to have as many claims in that layer, in your deductible layer. So you're actually not saving as much money by having success. But all in all, you saw 5% for experience, and you saved a 7% less than you would have saved by having the success. That's what brought you to the 18%. As far as the 5X of 20, that large layer that several members participate in, that 134% that Tammy's mentioned and went from 28, your share of that 28.6 to 67 roughly, is solely driven by those large losses that we had and we had to pay. And so those reinsurers see that those large losses that we paid on as very concerning. So that's kind of just my commentary, Tammy, on the rate increase on the liability.
No, appreciate that very much. Property insurance, pretty much I would say a flat renewal. Property market is kind of flattened out a little bit from all the cat losses they had. And so this 12% increase, this gives us our property insurance limit is $500 million, and the Thurston County has a $25,000 deductible, and then it goes to the risk pool, and there's a $100,000 deductible. So that's actually a pretty good number there. Let me see if I can find my mouse. There we go. Next up is cyber. As you know, the risk pool has offered a $2 million cyber policy, and they have for about 3 or 4 years now, I'm thinking. And unfortunately, these losses have started to add up, I guess. And so when we went out to the market, as you can see, Thurston County it really wasn't a loss. It was a incident that we had to investigate, and turned out there was no data lost, but it did cost us for a forensic team and some attorneys and a whole bunch of scurrying at the IT department. But basically, it was there was an exploitation of a NetScaler, which is part of the Citrix server, And so we ended up hiring and going through our insurance with the risk pool and getting those forensic team in right away. And they explored it, and we did find that there was no data loss, but we still had to go down that track and make sure we were all good.
What does the 12.9 million come from then?
12,000.
Oh, that's 1,000.
Oh, 1,000, okay.
Yeah. I'm like, what are you saying? Oh, yeah.
Like, that was, I would have remembered something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, let me jump in there just quick. I take it, I sat through that presentation and I'm hoping Dennis was there as well. I don't know if Maria, if you know that or not, but the whole training process for that cyber end of it, I think we're on top of it. You know,
No, he wasn't, but Thurston County has a very aggressive cyber team task force that they're working on things. So we've got multi-factor authentication. We have a lot of things that are going to be required for the new policy that in the past, the risk pool would we kind of had hey, did you have any losses? If you didn't, blah, blah, blah. And we'd submit that to the underwriters. Well, now there was a much more detailed application process for us to get this new insurance. And does that make sense?
Yep, it does. I mean, I know Dennis is on top of it, but I know you guys put on quite a training program too, so thank you.
He was, I did forward it to him, that he had the opportunity to attend, but I didn't see him that he was able to attend. The risk pool cyber policy, the expiring policy was $8,500. The renewal policy with a $250,000 self-insured retention for the pool, it's estimated at $30,000. We also purchased, the last 2 years, we have purchased standalone cyber insurance above and beyond the risk pools. So the first year they offered a $4 million policy above this $2 million. Last year, they offered a $2 million above this $2 million. And this year, they're not offering it anymore. So we are still marketing it. Matter of fact, I've sent the applications off to the brokers to see if we can get another policy, just to see if we could even get quotes. I highly doubt that we'll be able to get it. So we're going to be with this risk pool policy will be at least something's better than nothing, the $2 million policy. We also had a standalone crime policy. And now this year, the risk pool is offering a crime policy. So our standalone was $7,400. The new policy, which is going to be a group purchase through the risk pool, is estimated to be around $5,000. So we'll save a little bit of money there. The limit is a $2 million versus a $1 million. And the deductible is $25,000. And the standalone had various deductibles based on whether it was employee theft, forgery, computer fraud, that sort of stuff. And so that's a little bit of a savings there. So overall, this is the majority of our insuring expiring and the renewal policies. So the expiring policies, there's a total down here, $1,006,000. The renewal is $1,997,000, assuming, of course, the $67,000, that optional excess. That's at the end of the presentation. We need to get to the pool what your agreement is. And we typically recommend that we stay at our $250,000 deductible. And we're recommending that we buy the $5 million excess policy. And then we're recommending that we purchase that crime policy with the risk pool.
What does a crime policy cover exactly?
It covers employee theft, forgery, in transit, money order, counterfeit, computer fraud, fund transfer fraud, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Hey, Tammy, if I could,
Yes.
Yes, the crime, it's actually very good that the county's been buying the crime policy already. A lot of counties have not been. A lot of government entities have not been buying crime coverage. Crime coverage sort of fills the gap between liability insurance and property insurance. When the county discovers that money is missing, whether it's been stolen or is accidental or whatever the case may be. Most times it's an employee that's been stealing for a number of years, and there's many, many entities that can attest to finding out that an employee has been stealing for 10 years, $1 million, and they find out and they discover it and have to make a claim. Because it's your own money, liability insurance wouldn't cover that, so it's not a liability coverage. Property insurance covers buildings, contents, vehicles, equipment, but does not cover money. It specifically excludes money and securities. So the county would have no coverage for the theft of money by an employee, or even what's called faithful performance, where an employee may be faithfully performing their duties, but a huge mistake was made. There's some coverage for that as well, where you can recover. But if you had $1 million, $2 million, or you've heard of some large entities around the state, $7 million stolen over a course of time, you're out all of that money. And so having that crime coverage it captures that gap between the liability and the property that both wouldn't cover in the event of a theft. As far as our cyber coverage goes, it blew up on us, but we really believe that we were getting a really good deal on the cyber. It was a lot of unknowns. It was sort of uncharted waters as far as the cyber market. Once claims started coming, the work from home with this COVID was huge. Multi-factor authentication, meaning you don't just enter one password, but multi ways to actually get in. We believe that our members' efforts going forward are going to reduce the cyber significantly. Cyber is criminal, right? I mean, I guess there's always an opportunity for a non-criminal cyber claim, but for the most part, I think we all know that cyber is about criminals getting in. And if we can do our share to keep that from happening, I think we can get our hands around this cyber issue and resolve it. But the increase was significant in the cyber. We had to take a $250,000 pool retention versus $100,000. But we feel like it could have been worse, which I guess you can always say. But we feel pretty good about our renewals, all of this across the board for all the members this year.
Thanks, Derek. The downside of our briefing is that when we do our 2-year budget, I budgeted for these premiums 2 years ago. And so this $1,997,000 is actually almost $400,000 higher than what I originally budgeted for our premiums to come in. So you will be seeing a budget adjustment or amendment, I guess, in the fourth quarter this year, pulling money out of our risk reserve, which is why we have a risk reserve, to offset this. So it won't affect the general fund, but you will be seeing a budget amendment coming through. Let's see. We did have a couple of changes to the memorandum of liability coverage. It's basically more clarification. They wanted to make sure that the drone coverage was very clarified and that we had coverage for drones, unmanned aircraft. And then we took out this exclusion. We excluded the exclusion because to clarify that interlocal police agreements, they're in place and we have coverage for that sort of thing. And so those are the main changes to the actual policy document. Did I miss anything else, Derek? I think that was the main pieces.
That's exactly right.
Okay. And then finally, as part of the briefing packet, there's a memo that you have. If I can get you folks to sign that, and if you agree, our options are to stay at a $250,000 deductible. Members have deductible options. For us to increase to a $500,000, we would save $230,000, but we would have to set aside an additional reserve to cover those additional costs each year. So it would cost, about our interfund allocation, I believe it's 60% is general fund. So we're kind of, like Derek was saying, we're kind of in that sweet spot. We save, but we don't. We're right in there. So I would recommend that we stay at 250. Then I would also recommend that we purchase that additional $5 million excess. These claims are coming in higher. We, knock on wood, we hope we don't have large losses, but when they do happen, it just happens. So we'd like to have that extra cushion, and then the option to purchase the crime policy with the risk pool. That saves us a little bit of money, increases our limits, and we'll go away from, I won't renew the standalone policy that we had. I think that's it, unless people have questions.
I don't have any questions. I do have a comment.
Okay.
I would just like to commend Tammy and her team. I've been involved in this insurance risk pool for some time now, and I wish all my committee assignments were run like this, I guess, and with Derek and his team as well, because I look at this more as being operated as a business enterprise rather than a government bureaucracy. And I guess for those people that know my philosophy, that means something. So thank you all very much for your attention to detail.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Derek, for attending and giving us that award. That was very nice of you folks. Very nice.
Well, you guys have done a great job, and it's just a great collaboration. I echo the commissioner's comments. Insurance is not a fun subject, and it's something that it's a sort of necessary evil, I guess. But I really believe we're doing good work, and the counties are doing good work to drive down costs. It's something that has to be done, and we've done an exceptional job as a group doing that, and we continue to save. So we're really pleased with the teamwork that we've had with Thurston County. So we really appreciate your membership. And like I said, I plan to come out and actually get on your calendar to do an annual report as well.
Yes, I will put in a briefing request for that annual report, and I'll probably shoot that out this week for you, Derek, and see if we can get on the board schedule.
Great.
All right. Anything else?
Hey, Tammy, can you send me the Word document of your memo?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
All right.
So I would assume the board have a majority of the board concurrence on move forward?
Two thumbs, 2 out of 2.
Two thumbs.
Majority vote.
That's a,
And I will brief Commissioner Mejia next week. So if you can send me the memo and I will circulate for signatures, that would be great.
Perfect. Will do. All right.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. See you soon.
thank you, Derek.
Thank you.
Good to see you all.
All right.
Good work.
Maria, you got an easy assignment today.
All right. Thank you.